Okay, let's get started today. I'm very happy, actually, so many of you could join. Our today's webinar is about biosolar green roofs delivering for the climate and biodiversity crisis. We were actually able to get two extraordinary, very interesting speakers for today. And I took over the pleasure to act also a bit of a speaker, but mainly as your moderator. My name is Vera Enzi-Zechner. I'm a vice president of the EFB, actually a delegate from Austria. And today, as we can see, we have guests basically from different parts of the world. So as we still see, most of the people are here from Europe, and most of you already work in the green infrastructure sector. We already had a very nice survey prior to our webinar today, so we're quite well informed. And of course, we tried to collect your questions prior to the webinar and try to integrate them in our presentations and the discussion. Some technical information at the very beginning. This webinar is recorded. Tatiana Konchenko, our General Secretary at the EFB, is also present today, and we do a lot of work and a great job in the background. Thanks already, Tatiana, for supporting us. So the webinar is recorded, and if you're missing out actually some information, no worries. The webinar will be as well published on our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it. Yes. For your questions during our presentations and the whole webinar, please use the chat window. Tatiana is going to monitor what actually you are asking, and we are planning to have a nice discussion round today too, where we can then also go into your questions directly. This webinar today is free, thanks to our sponsors, who I'm going to mention right away in the beginning. So thanks to Lantra, EcoStratus, and Sechsfürs Grün, we can offer to you this EFB service today for free. So what's up on the agenda? First, we're going to start with a quick introduction about the EFB. Then I'm going to try a term definition. What's biosolar? What's not biosolar? Then I'm going to introduce you to our speakers, and we just jump right into the topic. So just quickly about the EFB. Some of you may not be familiar with our association. So EFB stands for the European Federation of Green Roof and Living Wall Associations. So we are like the umbrella organization for all national green roof and wall associations in Europe. We were founded already in the year of 1997. Actually, in the year of 2007, I came on board. I'm also quite already long part of the federation. We are a non-for-profit organization, and at the moment, we cover 17 national associations across Europe. And of course, we have extended networks with the World Green Infrastructure Network, for example, the European Landscape Contractors Association, the International Federation of Landscape Architects, etc. General basic goals of the EFB, of course, speak about what's going on in our sector across Europe, help each other from country to country. We have different advancement statuses. Help is needed. Some people are really doing pioneering work on the sector. Others can easily take this information. Also, this is one of the, of course, basic reasons why we started our webinar series. So try to get the information we are actually handling internally to members of our members and beyond. So I'm approaching a term definition. Now we're getting serious for today. Today's webinar is delivering for the biodiversity and climate crisis. So we are going to take a look at rather the left concept that you see on the screen than the right concept. But of course, you will see biosolar roofs as well as solar green roofs today, as far as I am informed by the presentations. So what's the difference? We are going to discuss it also later, I think, with our experts. But in general, we can say a biosolar roof is the combination of a biodiverse green roof with solar use. can be photovoltaics, can be also solar thermal. And a solar green roof, on the contrary, is the combination of a standard extensive green roof as well with solar, or in some cases, solar thermal. That's my opening, but of course we can discuss if this definition stands, or we going to further improve it during the talks. So happy to introduce today's speakers, and very happy to let the first speaker go afterwards immediately. Today here, Dusty Gedge, EFB ambassador, after serving voluntarily as EFB president for 16 years. Great that you're here today. Dusty is an independent green roof and biodiversity consultant, we can say. And today he's also going to talk about his company Gentian a little bit. What you should also know about him, he is a professional ornithologist and ecologist. And this is also actually what he loves doing most, watching birds on green roofs. Our second guest today, Andreas Dreisiebner from Switzerland. He is CEO at Growsolutions by A777 and member of the board of director at Solarspar. He will as well tell us about this entity during his talk. Besides that, Andreas has been doing a lot of biosolar roof projects in Switzerland and has been involved in different levels of governance. Dusty, are you ready?
I'll share my screen straight away so we can get on, but thank you very much for coming. I'd also like to celebrate, there's somebody from Mexico, which is a long way away. So well done to Mexico for coming. And I think we've got some people coming from the United States as well later on, and Canada. So let's press play. I hope you can see that. So yeah, I'm just going to go through about solar and biosolar green roofs, the difference. And there was a number of questions about retrofit and how you could assess cities, which I'm going to cover. But this is one I was involved with specifying and designing, and this is a biosolar roof up in North London. And you can see the mix of wildflowers, and you can see also some sedums. And I'm going to get into detail about that. And the key points of the discussion: what's the difference between a solar green roof and a biosolar green roof? Why is that important? I'm also going to talk about non-integrated and integrated systems, which is pretty relevant across most of Europe, less so in the German-speaking world, but is particularly of interest beyond our shores. I'm going to talk about some of the main engineering issues, and key in my experience is who runs the design and the installation. And I'm going to talk about some retrofit projects that I've been involved with. So I've got to say, because Andreas is here, my first solar green roof, was back in 2002, which is the Messe Hall in Basel in Switzerland. And what's interesting about this project, it was originally just a sedum roof with some solar panels on it, but my colleagues at the Hot School Wädenswil decided to turn it into a roof that could deliver better for biodiversity. I'm sorry about the quality of the picture, but it was taken a long time ago, I think about 2004. And it was really my colleagues at Hot School Wädenswil who really coined the term biosolar. And I've got to give credit to them. And often now, 20 odd years on, is everybody just thinks a biosolar green roof is solar panels on a green roof. It's very specific about biodiversity. And biosolar roofs deliver both renewable energy and what I call meaningful biodiversity. All green roofs provide value to nature because they're green space. And here you can see that we've got some native wildflowers at the rear of these panels, as well as sedums. And that is point of the biosolar. And biosolar roofs in the main, and I'll come to the slight difference there, are what I call, and certainly in the Grow Code, are called integrated systems. And it's where the green roof, the solar arrays and their mounting systems are integrated into the green roof system. And therefore the green roof system provides the wind ballast and the lateral ballasting, which is needed to make sure that the panels don't blow away, essentially. And wind loading is a very important topic. Now, this is actually a solar green roof originally, and it's not integrated into the green roof system, but this is a bank in London where a very interesting man started to retrofit features onto this system that really makes it a biosolar roof. But originally it was a solar green roof, and you can see here where it's non-integrated, the solar panel, the solar mounts have to be ballasted with paving or shingle ballast to actually hold them in place in terms of wind loading. And that is a very important difference, because often integrated systems are generally run by green roof system suppliers with solar. But what happens is people want a green roof and then they decide want solar. So they go out to solar and then solar put these on. And my experience is it's best that actually you get a process that, like what Andreas does in Switzerland, that is run by a combination of the green roof system and the solar system supplier. And as you can see, they've retrofitted these features on this solar green roof, these sand mounds, and put native wildflowers in. And I didn't put pictures in, but this is quite a famous roof now in the UK because it's got several orchid species. And one of those orchid species is actually from southern Portugal, southern France, which blew in 2021. And has only ever been once found in England, which is a very interesting, exciting story. And you can Google about that. And you can see again lots of wildflowers mixing in with the sedums. So this solar green roof has been transformed into a biosolar. And one of the other problems when you get these non-integrated systems, these are systems which are generally put on conventional roofs, is you often get a poor height above the substrate. Now, I'm confronting this a lot at the moment because the Department of Education wants all schools to have biosolar green roofs, and contractors are coming up with simple systems. And what happens here certainly is that actually this can encourage the growth of woody stem plants, particularly willows and trees, which can cause a maintenance problem. And often when a green roof is designed, this particular roof was designed originally for solar, but the planning conditions said, oh, you need a green roof. So they sort of packed the green roof around it. And basically, they never produced any solar panels power because this budlia clouding out the array. Now, this is not because of the green roof. It's just a very bad design. And so using the incorrect solar mounting system can actually cause problems in terms of generating solar energy. And I'll come to the compromise that needs to be made later. Often I get asked about orientation. Generally, certainly in the UK, and actually most of the green roofs that I've seen, is generally a north-south is often preferred. But actually, an east-west orientation actually does produce more energy, from what I understand. And what you can see on this one in Switzerland, again down in Sins, which I visited with Vera in 2014, you can see an east-west array, and in the far distance, you can see a north-south array. And that can produce issues depending on the aspect, that actually a north-south is preferred because of shading by other buildings. And these east-west panels are also not integrated. They've been ballasted. But, you know, this gets into a lot of detail, which may come up in the discussions. One of the main conflicts we're having is that the solar guys and girls, they want 70% of the roof to maximize the amount of solar energy that they can produce on the roof using pitched, angled panels. And that means there's only 30% left for biodiversity. And one of the compromises that needs to happen if you want to make a really good biosolar green roof is that actually, for me, you need 50%. But in my code in the UK, we go for 40%. And that means you can't necessarily generate as much electricity as you would want to, or you could do from a roof. But we've got to think about the other benefits that the green roof is providing in terms of biodiversity, water storage, and cooling, which I'm sure Andreas will come to. But this is a compromise that we need to be aware of, else you get bad solar roofs, which are then fitted onto a green roof, and they don't actually produce any energy at all. I just want to put this in. I think Andreas will probably go into more detail, but there's lots of ways to do this. And I'll go through some of this, but these are the kind of mounting systems that connect to green roof drainage boards. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on underneath the drainage board in terms of aluminium connections. Now, for me, certainly the roof that I showed you at the start, this roof, Bonnet Barnet, is the first roof officially where a very rare butterfly in the UK has got a really strong colony, which is small blue. And so the point there, we can actually deliver meaningful biodiversity. The plant that you can see there, yellow plant, is its food plant, which is what the purpose of a biosolar roof is. And you can see here on this north-south array, as I showed you earlier, what happens is on a biosolar roof which are pitched, you get this wind and sunshade, which means you get an increase in diversity of the flower species because they are out of direct sunlight and particularly out of the wind, and therefore you get more vigorous growth, which gives us our biodiversity, which has been the focus of most of my work for the last 27 years. It gives topographical variety. Now, I've got some terrible pictures here because this is very exciting, and I know Vera is very interested. This is actually originally was just a solar thermal roof, and it's then my colleague Justin Beer added some solar energy panels above. And I took this picture in 2011. It was a spring drought, and it's very unusual in Europe to have a spring drought. There's a spring drought in Belgium as well. And what happened with the solar thermal, these evacuated tubes, they allowed the rain to get in when the rain came, but they shaded the roof so it didn't evaporate so much. So this roof actually really survived the 3-month drought we had from February through till May. And again, I'm very interested in this solar thermal process. And if you're interested in this, I've took these pictures from a video I made. I think it was in 2011, so it's up there if you want to find out more about it. And you can see here the plants will grow up through the evacuated tubes and have no impact on the production of the hot water that these tubes are meant to produce. But essentially, one of the things that is known, and I know from a document that was given to me in 1999 from the city of Karlsruhe, is that actually when you've got vegetation and soil on a roof, it can actually help cool the panels down because they can get quite hot in the summertime and make them more efficient. And I know one of the questions, is there any research on this? There's been recent research, I think it was about 3 years ago, in Sydney that shows there's about a 3.8% increase in energy production when a solar panel is placed upon a green roof. But again, I'm sure Andreas will go into how he's producing 10% more, because I know about that. A quick couple of retrofits. This wasn't a retrofit. I put this in first of all. This was the Olympics Media Centre back in 2012 in London. It's the largest solar green roof in London. And originally it was just meant to be a green roof for biodiversity. And unfortunately they were missing their solar target. So they forced solar panels onto it. And it's actually it's a very weird construction. But the point here is this roof has actually met, out of the 12 biodiversity targets, it's met all 9 of them, which even the Olympic Park does not achieve. And in fact, it's got breeding birds underneath the panels. So that's actually to celebrate how we can deliver biodiversity with using panels. So this is the David Attenborough Centre. We had a weight constraint here of only 100 kgs per square metre. And therefore, the architects decided to use a non-integrated system. And it actually works reasonably well, but there's a maintenance issue because of the woody stem plants. And you can see where the solar panels are. The building on the left is actually a new build, but the building in the main is the David Attenborough Centre. And that was a 1960s building which had pretty weak loads. But you can see actually we got a lot of good wildflowers growing, and even the wildflowers are growing up in front of the panels, but they haven't had any impact on the panels. It's actually the woody stem plants that have impacts on the panels, and they need to be weeded out. And maintenance is far more a problem on these non-integrated systems than on integrated systems. So this is another retrofit, which is was originally an 80 mil sedum roof on Standard Charter, which is right in the centre of the City of London. And this is during construction. They removed the sedum, and then they added it. I'll show. Sorry, I got out of tune. So there you can see the roof from Google. But what they did is then they added these integrated panels from one of at the time, 2 only suppliers of these panels. This one's particularly Zinco. and then they added substrate. And what happened? The solar guys came in, added the panels, and what happens now is this roof has got much better biodiversity than it had before, because it was pretty poor sedum roof. And therefore, the question of solar or biodiversity, if it's done correctly, you can actually benefit both systems. And actually, these are probably producing about 3.5% more electricity than was anticipated, the facility manager tells me. Very quickly, somebody asked about mapping. I've done a lot of mapping manually in my life, but I've set up a company to do it manually. We did some work in the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham, which is an inner London borough, where we mapped all the green roof opportunities, we mapped all the retrofit opportunities, and we also doing some work that I'd done from another London borough. We worked out where there were biosolar opportunities to put reasonably good biosolar roofs up, and how you could, what could the energy produced, what energy could be produced over the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham, which is about 25 kilometres squared in terms of land area. And if anybody's interested in that, they can get in touch with me. Just wanted to highlight two things. Vera and I on an expert panel working on international codes of practice. And also over the summer, there's going to be a draft guidance note, which is going to be probably one of the most detailed and at the moment, is the UK trade body. I've seen the draft and it's very detailed. Also, if you're interested, I do a lot of YouTube videos, and I have 5 biosolar ones coming up for World Green Roof Day over the next 2 months. So, YouTube Dusty Gedge, I've just produced a lot of YouTube channels, especially the restaurant Green Roof in Zurich, which Andreas took to me too. And I just want to finish off before handing back to Vera to introduce Andreas. There's still lots of room for innovation, because my experience is, we've got some solar and we put it on a green roof. What we want to do is understand how the green roof and the solar panels can integrate well together to benefit both technologies. So thank you very much for watching. That's me.
Thank you so much, Dusty. That was an excellent first intro to the whole topic. Before I'm going to introduce Andreas a bit better to you, I would actually like to highlight Tatiana once more, who is going to post links in the chat about our social media channels, which you should actually like, subscribe, etc., not to miss the information about our next webinar. We're gonna discuss some first details even and announce them still today. So, welcome Andreas Dreisiebner from Switzerland, beloved friend and colleague. We also have been working together for a lot of years, and I also tried to bring Swiss innovation right to Austria very quickly before I had to go on maternity leave for 2.5 years. But I can see seeds keep growing all the way along. So Andreas is CEO at Growsolutions by A777, member of the board of directors at Solarspar, and he is also a member of the solar power plant community Soizach. Actually, a very interesting mix, a gardener who also gets very, very deep into solar and energy production. So somebody who's got their feet in both worlds. And this is what we're actually looking forward in your talk, I guess. So the stage is yours, Andreas. Welcome. You have to unmute yourself, sorry.
You're still muted. Where's he gone?
Now you can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
And you see my picture?
Yeah, the solar green roofs.
Okay, good. Thank you for introduction and to give me the place to show what we are in a growing team deciding. From my little background, just to explain, I'm really a landscape gardener who started, and A777, it's just my name. I was a little bit lazy to write my long name. Dreisiebner means 37, nothing else. And the Growsolutions was more the idea, I cannot go as a landscaper to make solar, and I have to think something which is close to my activity, but also something to do with the solar and the way I take the Growsolutions. The thing is, we started around 15 years ago with some researchers from the University of Applied Science to think about to combine the green roof and solar. If I have seen it on that time, that it's a kind of a cannibalization against each. And the loser was clear, it was the green roof. And I say that cannot be. We have to find more smart solutions. Let's go in to my presentation. We have a building. We have an environment, rainwater, green stuff, some production of renewable energy, mostly PV, but not only. Maintenance, very important, a killer argument for if you calculate it over 30 years, come on. And some facts about costs, some research and examples, and some more ideas. Let's go in. Let's show you a little bit, a little video. Why? It explains a lot in a very short time. We have a partner called SolarEdge.
In case we are meant to hear noise, we can't. I'm just informing you, Andreas.
What? You cannot hear the sound?
Yes, maybe you can reshare the presentation and then select include sound option when you share.
I try to.
Or maybe best you just commenting what we see.
Okay, what we see, it's everything written in English. We see the combination, and we see also what we have done together with the university. I explained here. Together, we supported by Ministry of Energy, the federal level. We combine it. Sometimes we use the same modules, glass bifacial modules, on the classical way, on the vertical way. And we have also to face the rainwater management. We can evaporate and transpirate the biggest thing. We make, yes, so why not, urban gardening. We have some insects. We try something with other flat roofs and so on. We work with technologies which give us the most opportunity to see the absolutely details about the modules and then the influence, and of course that we have the most as much as possible of the kilowatt hours we can collect it with these optimizers as the best. So sorry that you not can hear, a little technical mistake which we have not checked before. But let's go. We have something done, and first we have to face the building. Why? We have some little description here. When we have a green roof, of course, we know that we have cool down. You see the second one, down to 30 degrees difference, not up to 100 degrees, and in Middle Europe conditions. And if you have more extreme, more continental climate, you have the gap much higher. And this makes a problem to the roof. The cooling effect first, but to the rooms. I learned from my Indian engineer, which brings me 30 years ago to the renewable energy. He told me in India, when we can cool down the highest rooms, the top rooms, 2 degrees, we save 20% of cooling energy. And you know how much air conditioning is installed more and more each year. Then you see it is not nothing, it is something. We have not to forget, we will heat the insulation, and this heat goes in the rooms, and then we need to cool. And the most clever thing is to install a solar installation on the classical way, I mean east-west, 10 degrees angle, and then we cool it down the room 1 meter down and pump the hot air in the environment. This is not the cleverest thing when we can let, without any bill, to do the plants the job, if we give them the conditions. Other thing is really protection to the waterproofing. And why not use the space to do something with a certain value? We can produce vegetables. And then also we're saving on charges for meteoric water. This is a thing which is up to the conditions on the spot, which is installed, but coming more and more, we have the strong rainfalls on anything else. Let's go. Come on, will not work. It's hanging, so no. Now it's going, okay. Also, then we have an environment, the urban heat island effect. Of course, we know it. We have to store the water, Spong City, and we are against the desertification of cities. We know cities like Berlin have every year since 15 years, 5% less rain. It's not funny, it's a green water city. Just to face the reality, and the evaporation and plant transpiration is very, very important. Free of charge, I told you, also for the building, but also for the environment. And of course, that we know green let absorb a lot. So I have to go out here. Yes, the rainwater. We have to transpirate and to evaporate. It cools also a little bit to the modules. We have tested nearly 10 years ago. This effect, it's not really big. It's less than 1%. Believe me, we have millions of data. If you want to know it more about the cooling effect, we can send you our research. We have millions of data, and it was not a big advantage booster, but it is existing, but it's not really less than 1%. It's not that what we have. That's a big advantage. The evaporation and plant transpiration is of course an advantage also for the rainwater usage. And of course, when we do it properly, we have a biosolar. It means the biodiversity is huger. As example, on our test roof, which you have seen a lot of film or pictures now, we have seeded 22 ones. We have after 2 years still over 70. Of course, neophytes, of course, trees, but a lot of other things too. It's fantastic. And you know, against neophytes, the best weapon which we have calls biodiversity. It's working. We let them decide, we let them, we don't take them out, we just cut them. And let the colleagues, I mean the other plants, do their job to balance it out. We are not the cleaners, we are not the facility guys. No, this is not more the way. No need, beside. And not forget, the green roof is a spong on the break for the meteoric water. There are simple systems. We have to face the reality. We have around here in Winterthur 1200 millimeters. If you have 800, you have to store more, of course, and for a long time. Then with 6 centimeters, you will not survive through the time, through the weeks, which is dry, but you have to face the local conditions. So, some snow we have also in the city, like the same picture by Dusty show me this in the middle of Zurich. Perhaps maybe 2 or 3 days snow, I agree, but we have more and more another problem. I know that people from the Arabic region are also here. And this problem, it's for them common, but we have Sahara dust, more and more, not that much, but it's like sticked. And this is not something, this is maintenance. It's cost money and reduce the production. Huh? Then an important thing, if we are in Switzerland, no, why I say, not all roofs are green. Huh? I say sometimes dry or swamped green roofs. A lot of them. And in summer, they are brown or red and not green. Minimalist roofs are one solution, but it's nothing for the biodiversity. And it's a selected after also for the insects and the selection of plants. We see there are moss, there are sedums, and now the new one, it's a neophyte. We say the Berufskraut, I forgot the botanical name. It's a Canadian camel. Yes, a third colleague, but it's not the connections or the group building which we like to have. And then we have to, you see, production of renewable energy should be not more important. We have to be just smarter. That's all. Then the large areas with the classical elevation, it's 90 to 10%. If you see from the bird view, you see a black roof with some little green something around. And we have to think a little bit more about and make it smarter. And we have the solutions. Also, now we go to the energy. Okay, we see left side, it's the dynamic price development per day in 2023. You see which time, the baseline, you see the day, the hours. You see in the morning we need a lot, and in the evening. What we produce when we install the modules classically, you see on the right side, the radiation, the Einstrahlung. Then the green one, it's the classical south installation. East-west is a little bit flatter. And this is something red. This is the vertical installation. We have not to face in future only the produced yield per year on kilowatt hours. We have to face the quality of the kilowatt hours and the time when you see which one is matching better on the production. It's clear. Then the other thing, we have to combine something more. We have solutions, we have the technology which can work. You see here a little turbine. A little turbine. The first line, you can take the power. You can imagine the first line of a vertical takes 70% of the power which is coming with the wind. We have to use 4mm steel profile, then 2mm, and we have to hold it down with more ballasting or the other help constructions. When we can use it, we cannot hold, we can take the power with the turbine. And this is working, it's not noisy, it not kills bats and birds. It's turning not the half of the speed of a classical 3-blader. And it's working with less than 1 meter and produce power with 2 meters. This is amazing and working. And you see on the left side, solar and wind are complementary across season. Perfect. That would match also. And we can also use the thermic. We just start to make a study to find out the potential in Switzerland for small wind with the different types of wind turbines. This type is made in Switzerland with 12 patent on the back, not pending, given. And this is something unique which we can show and want to integrate in future in the solar roofs. And also something to the maintenance. Maintenance, I told you, it's a killing argument. When we calculate in Switzerland, it's 1 day, 1 man, 1,000 Swiss francs. It's a lot of money. And sometimes we have to go now about to clean the roofs. When we can let it, it will be not 3 times. When this still rainy goes further, then we have to go minimum 3 times. It can cost a lot of money, and we really clean and care away the wind with the cleaning of the green stuff. Now you see here we have a adapted Husqvarna normal lawn mover, and we find out that this is not possible to adapt. We have now, together with the Swiss Agency of Innovation, the state agency, we have the support now for the university that we can develop a unique mover who cuts higher, that we have not a selection on the cutting level. We go up to 15 to 20 centimeters. it must be, the construction must be started on not less than 30 centimeters. And we will have the first women or first man on the roof with a camera and with the infrared camera. They can make pictures also if there is a problem. Then we can send him directly to this point or to this panel or to this optimizer. And first thing is really he will cut and do it nearly free of charge for the future. That will be ready, and we make the first tests now in spring, and that will be ready in a year to sale. Just to see we are facing the realities. Now some facts about costs. I see in the chat that a lot of questions are coming about that. Okay, we have these two systems. Why we make the butterfly? It's easier to clean than the classical one with the roof, classical roof form, and the vertical, these two lines. One, it's clear, we have to face which type of roof we have. It's an existing roof, it's a new roof. How is the dry layer, the waterproof protection? How old is that? These are always very important things before we start. Yesterday, I had a question from Italian ones, and that my first question was, how old is this roof? They say 10 years. I say, it's good to know. Then we go up and install something which is damaged. The roof is damaged in 10 years. What you will do? Only costs and not necessary discussions. Then a very important thing, I show you the green roof system. With rainwater storage or not. It's possible if 6 centimeters means extra 60 kilos, maybe, maybe not. We have to find out. And then also the butterfly or vertical, you see both on the picture. We can also mix it, why not? The static calculation, very, very important to do that. Quality and green of biodiversity, urban gardening, what you will do with this roof. It's partly intensive use or only extensive. Then very important to when we make such an installation on a limited space, a roof is always limited, we have to face the self-consumption or we say we will produce as maximum, like I told you before. The self-consumption is then really we have to find the daily profile. And normally, I showed you before, it's really more a camel form and not a dromedar in the lunchtime. Yes, and then also to find out what we can do with the battery or to combine it with the wind turbine. These are questions. In general, I can say we are still with the vertical, we produce on the same space maximum 15% less than the right on the butterfly. And the other thing is we go now closer and closer. If shading, you see on the picture, it's around a third of the impact. The direct light, it's a third. The indirect light, it's another one. And you see here some silver leaf plants. You can imagine what happens with snow. The albedo effect, the reflection, it's another one. And we have to face on the space exactly this influence. Then we can go closer and install the same amount, but we will still have a little bit less, but less than 10% of production on the same space, like a normal installation. And we have another seasonal, we have more in wintertime on our conditions, and we have it also brighter on the day with the camel form, I think, compared to the dromedar. Some research, just to show you a little bit, when you like to know it, we can send it to you. Something's in German, something is translated, of course. We have done it, the cooling effect, you see 15 some years ago, we know what we do. We have really done it very intensive over 3 years, I told you. Then we have the first vertical roof. I have seen it on pictures also by Vera and by Dusty. I'm happy to see that it was our first vertical roof. It goes around the globe. That is really funny. And you can see, if you want, you can see it also in winter when you will visit me. That's no problem. That we go, we tested different types of surface, the gravel, the white gravel, or a classical green roof part. Now we are on the roof, they're called Mattenbach. We tested the different thing with some biodiversity islands, the classical installation and the things. And you see here, we try also to find out about biodiversity. We work with biochar, we work with different things, beside the big things which we, of course, tested. You see also how it looks. We show, and look here, they are vertical and horizontal lines, and we go over the roof with the same lines. There's nothing strange against the other parts of the building. Let's go, some samples to show, pictures. Yes, we show what we have done. This is a hotel. You see also the lines of the hotel, also vertical and horizontal. We go over the roof. It looks great. First, they told me it's not working over that space, and then, oh, it is working. You see, it's really nice. You see here the picture. What should be not tasty on that thing? It's up to. Then we have the bird view. It was on a very new stage. It's not very greener, but it's much greener now. I have to change the picture, but you can also see it. Then we have done which we have installed there. You see, you can imagine what happens when we have snow. You can also imagine when you have dust for certain regions, which is thick. I think in Dubai, as example, I know they can have fog, very intensive fog. And then you have a similar problem. You have to clean it. The vertical one, you have not to clean. Maintenance costs. Other pictures, you see how to do that. Here is a very new one in Flims. You see, they make designy. They want to have black frame, black modules, everything black. Yes, they can do that. To the building, they are working on the tasty side. Why not? Design is also a value, and it looks great. Then we do the classical things too. Yes, we do it. On big roofs, we will do more in that direction. You see what I told you? This is a black roof with some green sidelines compared to the vertical installation. You can combine it. Why not? It's not forbidden and it's possible. Then we can also big things. It's over not a bridge, it's a silent noise construction for a city over a highway, big one. We can also working with existing roofs. We take away partly and let the rest in from the green roof. With how to install it. This is the Zinco system, which we do. And some ideas. We go about the footprint. We can use Robinia. It's working. It's completely engineered. You see in the back, it's the one higher sheets for the construction. Robinia will live as long as the modules are working. No problem. We go more and more also to metallic roof in future, to classical storage with vertical, not about roof parallel. We have ideas. And we want to make a higher value for the biodiversity with some ponds, with wood, with sand, with other parts for our little friends, the insects, mostly. Yeah, we do also something. This is starting out with green. In future, we will combine it. The bus station in Switzerland, in Zurich, they have around 700. You can bring biodiversity, but we have not the opportunity to give with 150 kilos or more. No, we have to go down to 50 kilos, and we work together with friends from the south, from Israel. They have a lot of experience on Greece with the lightweight solutions. The next step is then to install the modules over. Yes, we have permanent development. Yes, and we go to cost reduction, testing of materials, footprint reduction, cooperation with partners, and with local partners, with partners in other regions. We are open-minded, and we are a team. We are not we have a lot of experience, but we really are still in the process to be better and to design the better solutions together with local partners like you to find how we can do that. Then, just to show you a little bit what we do next. On the right side, the start, we have in the east of Switzerland, we will test, we go more narrow, we go to 1 meter, and we change completely wrong. Normally, we go on the north-south axis with the installation on vertical. Now we go completely wrong to find out real time, not simulated by software, real, to find out how it is working when we do that on the wrong side. How much is the difference? How is the profile working? And also the shading effect when we go from 1.50 meters down to 1 meter. or we go to other regions like here. You see, this is in a continental climate country in Kyrgyzstan, on a handicapped school in a village. And you see here, this room, first they were very skeptic with the green roof. We take a minimalistic green roof, why it is a little bit brown. And they find out that room, it's the warmest room in winter and the coolest room in summer. If this is a passive house, energy-wise, really modern made, with Swiss knowledge from a Kyrgyz architect, which is developed in our region in Switzerland, and they make the construction on that way that they have sun. They have a lot of sun in summer and in winter, but with the big roof over, then we have shaded in summer and open, and the sun can go in the building. You will see it now from that side. This is the south side, that it works as efficient as possible together with clay walls. Really fantastic project. Let's see it here. Okay, let's go. So then a little bit the partners which we have. We have research partners. We have the Solarspar. This is an association which we started with the research, and of course we have the turbine company Webfair and our partners for the light white roofs. What we do is we go smart. We let you you can download my presentation. Then you see whatever we do, we can face the yield. We can do other things. We do it for the city, for the mountains, continental climate, or sandy coasts. We have the solutions for that. I think existing green roofs, retrofit, cost efficiency, resource-saving manners, and of course the stormwater management, evapotranspiration, and it's a part of the solution. Biodiversity, it's more than nice to have, please. In addition to PV, small scale is also complementary partner for energy green roofs. We do it also for small things. We can use the vertical as a fence. It's allowed in Switzerland to use it. We can save place, and also we can have a better usage of the space. In addition to PV small scale wind turbine, it's a really complementary partner for the building. I told you it's the cooling effect and the saving, and for the urban climate, we have to face the urban heat island effect. So thank you. This is my friends from the south who helped me a lot with these lightweight solutions. And back to Zurich here, we have the mixed roof with biodiversity islands and such kind of things. If you have any questions, please ask me or came later, talk with me about the project. We really like to join and to realize projects around the globe, to show this is not rocket science, it's something which we can face and realize with you together locally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andreas. I think it was very interesting for all the participants, and I can see that Diana is already collecting questions for later on. So prepare yourself well. Yes, and I think we need to go on in the program as we want to experience some inspiring discussions later on. So I'm going to switch back to the last part, which is going to be the part I was asked to prepare for today. So, am I visible again? No?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Great. Perfect. I could see somebody wanted to join again, but I'm sure you're going to manage in the background. Yes, welcome to the last part of today's talk. So now it's my turn. My name is Vera Enzi-Zechner. I'm one of the EFB's vice presidents, representant from Austria. I'm actually nowadays what we would call an NBS consultant. Yes, looking back the last years, I got involved with association work on the national scale in Austria and also with the EFB quite early at the last days of my studies back in 2007. Afterwards, I actually did a lot of work in field of research, benefits of green roofs and green walls at the University of Life Sciences, Vienna. My background is actually landscape planning and landscape architecture. And yeah, so my mission today is basically offer a kind of a cooking recipe. So we've heard a lot about tech already, a lot about project and experiences. I took over the part to conclude a little bit for you. How can we bring forward successful projects? We may not forget what we know already about green roofs, because sometimes we tend to. And at the end, what can be done on a national level? Yeah, this topic is emerging across Europe. As you heard Dusty earlier, it's actually emerging, of course, across the globe. Early action is required and is possible. And that's basically my mission for the next few minutes. That's a very personal picture. Actually, when I started my first research project in my career back then, this was the test roof I was supposed to install with my colleagues. And I love to run this test, not just with students, as well with professionals. What do we see on that picture? And what is this woman telling us with it? So basically, what you're seeing are green roofs. 32 of them. 72 of them. They each have a size of 2.2 meters. And actually, they have a lot of differences, but on the other hand, they have one thing in common. So this is a bit of a puzzle for you. So what do these green roofs have in common? Or maybe it's easier to see the difference first. We can already see, well, maybe it's not the same substrate. Maybe it's not the same green roof build-up. Maybe some of them are less than standard build-ups by height. Yes, you're right. Some of them have a higher substrate build-up. Some of them have improved substrates, different, also quite innovative materials. Yeah, but what they have in common is that at the very first day when they were installed, and they were installed within 2 days, they were actually seeded with the same 68 species seed mix and controlled after a period of 3 years. And this is the picture after 3 years. So what we can see is the substrate, the quality and the build-up, and of course, its potential to capture and offer water and root space to plants is always in direct connection to what grows on it. That's very simple, but it's very important to know and also memorize once you appear on your first, let's call them accidental biosolar roof, when somebody put a lot of solar panels on actually an existing old green roof. So this is what matters. Doesn't matter what project, you should always keep that fact in mind. So what follows, maybe 2 other statements. Yeah, we can go into direction of nature conservation and biodiversity on roofs. We're already doing that for a long period of years. We've been to roofs across Europe that are far older than 100 years already, and are inhabited by very, very interesting mix of animals and plants. Sometimes we can mirror the landscape on the roof, but sometimes, this is the picture on the right side, it's also time for you as a consultant to realize, yeah, maybe this building or this project is not meant to combine. It's meant to separate for the good, because it has the space and it also can bring different qualities. That's an interesting term, yeah? So what's a bankable project? Because this is also something, wherever you go and want to install a biosolar roof, somebody will ask you at a certain point. I was introduced to this term of bankability back in the year of 2012, I think, when I had a talk about green roofs and green walls and their benefits and potentials and measurable results at the European Commission headquarters in Brussels. And all these people looked at me, and then somebody asked me, but Miss, are green roofs bankable? Can we invest? it's a really good thing and also very comforting to see, okay, we don't have to have this discussion 14, 15, 16 years later anymore. So what we have to remember, and this is also what I want to transport with the picture on the right side, which some of you may find funny if you take a detailed look at the fashionable trousers of the man in the back, and you can guess from what century that picture actually is. These people are installing a green roof, by the way. We may always remember, we know how to install a good green roof. So we also know how to install a good solar green roof, and of course, an excellent biosolar roof. But what we also may never forget, and this is the same for every project, and I think Andreas will strongly agree, the bankable project develops from the perspective and the need of the public environment. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The investor can be the same as the building owner, doesn't have to be. The building user, the one who benefits directly, and the building itself, especially when we're talking about renovation projects where you're working with existing architecture, you have to fit in. And of course, it also depends on the national to regional supportive framework. Actually, at the moment, mainly cities are engaging in that concept a lot. So it's about policies, regulations, and also incentives, and of course, good example projects. Does anybody have a clue from which decade that picture is?
Looks 1980s to me.
Great. Dusty won the first prize today. Yes, actually, it's the year when I was born. There is another deep connection of myself to that picture. The public perspective. This is an old slide used a lot of times. Most of you will know it. So yes, what are green roofs about, and what are also biosolar and solar green roofs about? It has not changed. We are contributing to urban green, to biodiversity. We do stormwater backing. We do noise reduction. We do cooling through shadow or evaporation. We improve the air quality. We do space creation. We raise the quality and occupancy and the environment in general. We contribute to the building's economy, real estate values, the lifespan of the building, reducing the running cost. We contribute to health and well-being. People experiencing less sick days, get more productive, more happy, more recreative. So also a biosolar roof does all of this, and really, really well. This is a picture I took from the solar guideline of the city of Vienna. I'm going to talk about this in 1 second also, because I think it displays quite well what a building, how a building benefits from a biodiverse green roof and from a biosolar roof, and how also, of course, the owners and users benefit. So a building has certain needs, technical needs, especially in times of a changing climate, temperature control, light control, ventilation control, preferably no additional air conditioning units, producing of electrical energy on an efficient way, water management, and also looking into the future and all the efforts being done in Europe at the moment to renovate the stock of buildings we have and transform the whole, let's say, outreach and the whole direction our current industry of construction, where we are, of course, part of as well, is going to go. So in case you need good arguments for your project, here are certain savings and benefits. And there is a huge amount of research projects actually for different situations proving all these benefits. So if you're interested, just get in touch with the EFB or the national association that for years are publishing actually this latest results of research. Now coming to a national perspective, a very Austrian perspective. Dusty will say, Vera is being Austrian today again. But I love to. I'm sorry. This is how it is. So actually, this could also happen in your country. So this is my cooking recipe. A few years ago, we realized we have a problem. We have a problem. So we got all these great green roofs that we installed thanks to a lot of cooperations over the last decades. We got technical standards in place. Basically, everything's going well, but suddenly we're doing bad project and we have a lot of inquiries coming. So we tried to look at the case, and we thought, okay, most of the time, this is the problem because our industries are not cooperating well. So what we actually did in the year of 2020, and I think this was quite a clever and good move, is as the Austrian Green Roof Association, we published a green industry position paper, because also the Solar Association published one in the same year. And we said, we are not going to fight for the same space. We want growth for two industries now. That's a tactical or political move, call it how you want it. But it was actually quite interesting because it brought us into discussions. And very soon, a joint project of our association together with the Photovoltaic Industry Association and the Solar Thermal Association followed. So we created a kind of a basis for direct collaboration, talk on the same table, talk on the same level, and actually a lot of good things came out of it. In 2021 already, thanks to the work of a lot of people, it was possible to publish technical supplementary sheets to our Austrian green roof standard from the year of 2010 that actually covered solar green roofs and biodiversity, the combination. And currently, looking into the current year and things going on, an update of the Austrian green roof standard is in progress in regards of biodiversity, photovoltaic, solar thermal, as well a lot of other issues like stormwater backing, for example, and hail, and protection against hail, just to give some examples. But what this first draft of the standard includes, and also the technical supplementary sheet says, there is a minimum distance substrate to panel, which has to be 30 centimeters, so 300 mil dusty, and 65 centimeters minimum between panel rows. But these minimum distances can as well get larger, dependent on the substrate depth. The standard also tries to include, at least discuss, to see what happens if we're combining intensive green roofs with solar panels and the distance of at least 200 centimeters, so 2 meters. We're going to see one project later on still. Yeah, and currently we're also discussing, because that was already done in another standard too, if a greening objective in a standard would help good quality projects. Now to the next national perspective, the governance on city level, which is actually in Austria very, very strong for a lot of years already and for a lot of good reasons. So one thing has also helped a lot of other cities, and I have seen that in the questions prior to our webinar today, is public accessible data must be there in some way on biodiversity, solar and green roof potentials, and also stock inventory, in order to see, okay, how are we going to install what we have to install? The next step, here the case I tried to put in there for you. You can as well click the links, of course, and examine all this yourself, is the excellent cadastre of the city of Vienna. It's called Wiener Umweltgut, and you can browse the different levels of what I just mentioned. Second step is, of course, homework for cities integrate in building plans. Of course, this is a long-term perspective. It takes time, but it's effective for a good future development. And then, last but not least, a lot of interesting work was as well done in joint collaboration with the national associations of the different branches, specific guidelines and handbooks that set a certain quality benchmark. I can mention here is the Viennese Green Roof guideline and the solar guideline of the city of Vienna. Solar guideline as well covers the whole field of green roofing and also as well biodiversity. It's even translated into English, free downloadable link is there, of course, as well. City of Salzburg, for example, City of Linz have similar documents. And another level I would really like to mention too, because I think it's exceptional and it's also very, very important that the city, as basically the lighthouse project and the one who stands in the spotlight, also cares about their own building qualities. In Vienna, this happens, for example, in a document called Raumbuch, So this is where the city sets their qualities for their own investment and own buildings to be the first mover and, of course, execute what on other levels is being funded or is being even integrated as mandatory. So, for example, we are talking here about minimum substrate depth of 15 centimeters, biodiversity, and also possible usable roof space, for example, kindergartens and schools. Last part of the national perspectives is the incentive level. I tried to pick an example because I think it may be interesting for discussion later as well. Some of our cities are actually funding solar green roofs or biosolar roofs at the moment. What is being funded, mainly interesting for you, I think the discussion went on for quite some time. So what is currently the case is that the more cost is being covered in the under construction compared to if there was basically just a standard solar construction. And the average funding rate at the moment is 150 euros per kilowatt peak, not per square meter. And most of us will already know kilowatt peak to square meter has a relation from 1 to 6. So it's approximately more cost of 25 euros per square meter on the under construction that is funded actually through these different funding schemes of our cities. They're funding maximum 30% of the total costs, not more than 250,000 per project. There is a minimum project size, of course, as well. So what's funded, modules under construction, according, of course, to the standards or supplementary sheets that are the latest standard in the technical discussion, installation, armoring, measurement units, planning and consulting works as well. Expert opinions and other post works, for example, tests that need to be run before the project can be installed. And additional other incentives, I'm sorry for the spelling mistake, for the green roof itself can be used as well, to my understanding. So before I conclude, we were also asked a lot of times today for an arid option. So what do arid regions do? Dusty already mentioned this project earlier. So already, I think in 2013, 14, we started the research project at University of Life Sciences. It was called PV Roof Garden. And we tried to combine steamy, transparent photovoltaic with pergola systems as an installation for existing terraces that can already host, of course, enough load and did not have any kind of shadowing option. And of course, collect all the rainwater, bring rainwater to the intensive green roof sections under the pergola, and enjoy the space. So basically producing energy, creating recreational areas and an intensive green roof and all its benefits on the same square meter. What we can say is for the plants, it works very well. We are very happy. For people too, nice spaces can be done that way. Of course, it's not cheap, the solution. We have to say it, but you may ask yourself, she's talking about 3 use cases. Why is there a 4 on the picture? Because this is also a current discussion that I have been aware of. Some projects already trying to see possibilities of using the space for commercial activities too, generating income for that project to make it more bankable by, for example, growing and selling on-site fruits and vegetables in that construction. So in case you're interested, the planning handbook from this project is a completely free publication accessible on the link on the right side. So I hope I also brought a bit of help for the upcoming discussion for now. And I think it's time for some questions and answers and discussions in the panel. I'm aware all of us prepared at least 3 questions for the others, and we're going to be very mean. Back and happy for discussions?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, great. Then I start with my first question to you, Andreas, actually, to keep the ball running, okay? We've been
Okay.
discussing costs a lot. Can we still make biosolar roofs cheaper? If yes,
Yes,
how?
we can. We can. We learn with each roof. And with my team, we do it ourselves to learn and learn. There are a lot of steps with the labor, with the material. We have to face the reality also on the region, and then we can really go to that. I told you some points. It starts from the waterproofing app, how we save it, how we can go over the ballasting. Some regions say ballasting is very difficult. It's about the conditions on the region. We have to do it. And there are still some ways how we pump things. And then, of course, we go this quality level with SolarEdge. We can save money on the CapEx, but at the end, we have to see the OpEx and the productivity of the installation. They are not. It's not a single view which we have normally like a normal PV installation. We have to face a little bit more, and then we have a better result on a fair price, especially on the quality level with the profiles through the day that we have in the morning, on the evening. And this is, I told you, dynamic prices, like in Denmark, like in Dutch, as example, they have it. Then we have another game.
I see. I see. Would you like to throw the ball on maybe with a question to Dusty, Andreas?
Do you want to ask me a question? Yeah. I'll ask you one, Andreas. I've got to find the questions I was going to ask you.
Okay, let's go.
I was trying to find the questions I was going to ask you. Sorry. So, yeah, I mean, the big question that's come from me when I've talked to people about vertical in the UK is to go, oh, yeah, don't get me wrong, I just want to get your view. Oh, yeah, that's all well and good in Switzerland because, you know, they've got snow. We don't have a lot of snow. But, you know, my concern there is that people go, oh, let's find an excuse not to do something, which has been my experience in green roofs all my life. But you've done you were talking about a project in Parma and Kyrgyzstan. I mean, they've probably got snow in Kyrgyzstan, but they're not going to have snow in Parma. So tell me about, are they going to work in the UK or in Brittany or in Ireland where we really don't get snow? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
No. We have other circumstances. It means we have a lot done in the city here in Switzerland, and we are on 400 and 500 meters. You can forget the snow. Maybe 2 days we have snow. This is not the issue. We have to do it about the daily profile. I told you this is a big point which is coming. Don't forget peak shaving. It's a billionaire thing in Germany. They kick you out at 11 o'clock, and then you can go in at 4 o'clock. They subsidize the battery to store it. It is not essential. We produce and they cannot use it. Learn to produce then when you use it. And it means the profile, you have seen it, the profiles through the days in the morning and the evening, the peak, also about the price, right? Dynamic prices shows you the reality. And in that way, we have an advantage. Another thing, it's really dust. Believe me, dust is the big thing. If that is sticky, especially if you really bring regions. We have a project in Israel. We have projects in New Sea and in continental climate conditions. I can say there is a lot of snow. But it's not the snow. It's really also something for the south about very sticky, dusty thing that we can have to clean. I know in regions with some dust, also in India, you have a problem. You have to clean your installation weekly or more. Please, this is not joking. The resource water is in that region not easy to have it. You can buy it, but it's costly, and at the end you have to calculate also these things. But the most thing is really, you have a green roof. You have the bird or the drone view. You see a green roof, and this is the big thing. Not for you personally for pocket, but it is really that which Vera, you know it. How many cities goes now to say we have to store the rainwater, and how you will work the best? It's with the open green and not with the closed covered green, or we go vertical. But it's at the end, it's personal. If you have self-consumption, then you are really in the advantage if you have minimum partly vertical and you produce when you have the consumption in the building.
So if I may quickly, because I think it's important to conclude on that, is you really need a thorough understanding rather than somebody just dismissing it because they've read that snow's useful. I just want to bring that to the audience because my 27 years of doing this is meeting so many experts that, oh, you can't do that here because the weather's different. It's just them not going, we do it, we don't do that at the moment, so we're not going to do it. I'm sorry, I'm not the president anymore. I just feel like being, hang on, you get a lot of experts telling you can't do things which are not necessarily true.
Yeah, but actually that also links very well to one of the questions in the chat about how frequently green roof maintenance needs to be done on a biosolar roof. Actually, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, my dear experts, that's very much dependent also, of course, on one hand, on how well the water management of the roof has been done. Yeah. Because if you have a very good equal distribution of water that is not disturbed by the solar energy use of what and kind, then you have a green roof that basically grows under very controllable conditions. So you can just apply basically normal green roof maintenance that you would also do on a simple biodiverse green roof. Am I right with what I'm saying or not? A separate issue is the maintenance related to the solar panels.
Yeah, I mean, my experience on that is it all depends on the design. So the designs that Andreas does.
Here we are.
If you have the wrong design, a lot of rain falls off a pitched panel, and you've got the wrong height, you can get a lot of woody stemmed plants growing. So you technically, the code in the UK is you need to visit once in the summertime to remove. But if you get the height right and the vegetation right, that keeps out the woody stemmed plants. And can I go on to the second part, if I may? Because I think if you're in a tropical, subtropical area, I think you're going to have to start thinking about the one that Vera presented, which is the solar pagodas, that we need to be thinking about putting things vertical on the horizontal, which are semi-transparent panels that allow rain through, because subtropical, you're not really going to do extensive green roofs, and you're going to do mainly intensive. My experience when I've been in Singapore and Hong Kong and places like that, and if you're in Costa Rica, it's very difficult to do extensive. So there's a whole different approach there.
I think that also links very well to a question that we received prior to our webinar today about the irrigation need on roofs. Yeah, because yes, of course, if you go for an installation like the one shown, you have rest light because the panels are semi-transparent. Of course, a biodiverse green roof approach, we're still in the more extensive part of green roofing, is to design a roof on a way that it does not need additional irrigation efforts. Of course, that's the whole thing, of course, our branch is talking about. But actually, Southern Europe even and more arid climates around the globe work differently. Yeah, they are much more installing intensive green roof. Of course, they are as well watering them. If you install an intensive green roof in Austria, actually, you're also supposed to take care of the water. With conventional irrigation systems compared to hand watering, you already have 40 to 60% less need of water amount. With the use of sensors, for example, it can be even more specific. Just water the roof when it needs water. You can go even that far, so you're just watering the roof when it is the most beneficial for the building performance. These are also research projects we're seeing for the last decades a lot. So would you agree a biosolar roof is not designed to be watered additionally?
Well, I think what's interesting there, because having done some work in Arabia, and I think Andreas can come here, because when we talked about biosolar roofs in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, I mean, dust was the main issue, and we didn't know about the vertical. But what we did in terms of designing for biodiversity in Riyadh was say, the roof's not going to be green most of the year because the desert's not green most of the year. And so we were doing this design process where they would flower. You would irrigate once every 3 months very shortly to get the desert plants which respond to rain. It rains twice a year in Riyadh, mainly in March. So I think it's this perception of what a green roof is. And to me, if you're in Arabia and you're going to have a green roof 24/7, I just find that a bit hard to take. But I think with the vertical, I would have thought the maintenance of the Biosolar would be, I have to hand over there, but they get a lot of dust storms. I've been in a dust storm in Qatar. So presumably on the vertical, that's not going to be an issue. But there may be an issue of sand collecting at the base of the vertical, Andreas, that could cause a weight issue.
The thing is, we have done a project, and not only one in Israel, and there are conditions are similar to Arabic regions, and in Africa, similar things. The thing is really, we have to face first the conditions. First, the static thing. Most of these roofs are not built for our heavy stuff. It means over 200 kilo wet. You can forget it. I had show you the solution for the bus stations. We can go up to 50 kilos. Then we have to go another way. We have to work with other material, another mixture. This is another game. But this is possible and it works. And we can we have another vegetation, of course. That's it's possible. Sometimes I show you with the bus stations, we have similar conditions in our cities. This is something which we not can make an irrigation or that game. It's not possible. We have to face that, and we work on that solution. So I told you we have partners who know to do that. In that region is also the blue roof, a big thing. Blue roof has strong rainfalls. We have to face these things. How we can handle 50 kilos on the roof for some months, no rain. It is working. Yes, let's do it. We can show it. It's not only for our, I think, good conditions like we have in the middle of Europe with over 1,000 millimeters. No. This is really possible. But face us the project. Let's work on the spot that we can show that it is possible.
Dusty, can I maybe also ask you, did you encounter a project where you had to consult separating the different use cases?
No. No.
Can that happen? I mean, under what circumstances?
No, I mean, normally in the work that I do, you may have a building complex where it's already been decided where the solar is going to go with the green roof and where the solar is not going to go. So you specify a biodiverse green roof on the lower roofs and the biosolar on the upper roofs. So that's never really an issue for me because they've already decided that they need to do it. And how they're going to do it. The issue normally is, the main issue on that is, and it's happening less now because people realize that the good green roof biosolar systems is the solar engineers go like, oh yeah, but I've got to have the whole roof. And you go, well, if you have the whole roof, you're not going to meet your planning because of London planning rules. And if you do it like that, you're going to get a lot of trees. You know, so that's normally the conflict in the past, but
the more good quality best practice projects are being generated and shared, of course, the less projects like least we will hopefully encounter in the future, right?
Yeah, I think it's also where, if I may, because I don't know if the people from Boston have turned up, but where you don't necessarily have, you know, the level of the likes of Andreas and the Zincos and the OptiGreens and the people of good system suppliers, if they're not present in the market and they're not getting to the architects, people are just going to make things up. I saw one the other day, which was completely made up to go on a school. And I just went, that's just nuts, you know. But I think what people, if they're in what I would call immature markets, you know, you really want to, you know, get to talk, go and find out what's happening in mature markets, because, you know, we've got some great system suppliers across Europe. But I think one of the concluding things is we still need innovation, and we still need to think that you don't just have to have one panel. You can have 5 different types of panels on a roof, because you could do 5 different things. But we tend to work with, oh, there's one system where deliver that. And that's what's interesting about Andreas's work. So I think if you're in an immature market, you've got to get Zincos, the Optigreens, there's a few others now coming up. And I'm not highlighting companies because I'm favorable to them, but they are very good. Actually, if there's any French speakers, Vegetal ID have a very good blue roof solar system now, which they're using a lot in the United States of America. But we wanted to ask you a question about blue roofs, didn't we, Vera? So, what about blue roofs and storing rainwater and the conflict that could potentially produce,
Yes, this is also questions we've got for today still on the agenda. So can we combine biosolar roofs with pitched roofs? That question also is coming basically from the renovation wave we're hopefully going to work at in the next 50 years. The second one is just, you brought it up, of course. We have a lot of movement on national governance levels, down to cities, the demand for, of course, stormwater backing on these kind of roofs as well. So we have a lot of different targets that come together, and still I would witness from our discussion today, there is space and room for innovation, because I doubt that at the moment, from a biosolar perspective, we already have a systematic answer to pitched roofs. And secondly, apart from separating a project into different function areas, just like I suggested, which is also sometimes happening, especially in cities that have a very strong regulation in place that requires full storage of incoming rainwater on the roof. Yeah, and that also with the plants and the vegetation, and the vegetation height sometimes not goes very well together with the roof systems installed or being installed. Do you have some additional thoughts in that direction? Because yes, we are facing these discussions, of course, in reality every day.
Well, Andreas, go on, Andreas.
We start now to work on storage roofs, these classical, very flat angle metal roofs. They are huge around to work with vertical. Why? We do, of course, normally install roof parallel. And in some places, yeah, like I have seen in Dubai, you have to clean it a lot of time. We go vertical, but it's a question of the static, how we can install, go over the main construction. We have to face, we will do now such a project here, and that it's a question why we should have the evergreen. The storage are maybe cold, maybe not, insulated sandwich roofs or very simple not ones. We have to face the situation for the building. And when we can have another benefit about to save the dry layer, it means the membrane or what else, then we have to focus really on this situation. I work also with roofs together, as example in Dubai. They go with bitumen over. We have to see how we can manage it and make the installation on a way economically sensible for these specific sticky, dusty conditions. And this is a way which we have to do on all our here. We cannot say, no, we can go, we need mostly to go lightweight. We cannot go with 200 kilos over such a roof in normal conditions, forget it. We have to see these things. We have to find a way how we can do that, or make maybe partly, we call them zebra, and we go partly with the green stuff, with the lightweight green stuff, but it must have a certain value for the owner of the building, that we cannot say yes or no. We have to create the solution together. Again, it is how it is.
Yeah. But what I found actually very positive today, that we've seen from both of you, also refurbishment projects, because this is clearly a working task for the next years. Just to give you one citation of a recent position paper published by the Civil Architects Chamber in Austria. Austria is built over. We have to work towards the net zero land consumption goal of the European Commission 2050, and we have to renovate. So we will still see a lot of all different buildings, kinds, heritage to classical 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s construction that we have to fit on with our approaches. That's not negotiable. That's on the working list for, I think, all of us in the next few years. So I think we are in a good way. There is a lot of bases already there, a lot of good example projects that can serve, but there is still work to do, right, Dusty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Vera, you know, I mean, I've got my company now, but for years I was mapping retrofit potential in London, and like London's a big city and it's built slightly differently. It's more built like a lot of German cities because of what happened in 1945. But I think we have to be very clever here, because there's 32% of central London could be retrofitted with green roofs. That's flat roofs. And we've got to be sophisticated. If there's pitched roofs that we could do things on without redesigning them, just put solar panels on them. Forget the green roof, because we don't have time. But we've got to be. What do we want to achieve, and where's best to achieve it? Because what I worry sometimes as I listen around the world is, the water people want to achieve this, the solar people want to achieve this, the biodiversity people want to achieve this. But we've got to be smart. Where can we achieve that quickest and best when it's about retrofit, rather than saying that every project has to achieve this? It's like, what buildings are best for this and what buildings are best for that? And, with pitched roofs, I think we should stop building buildings with pitched roofs, because, they're stupid. But, let's not worry about greening those. The existing pitch, just put solar panels on them. We haven't got time. And I think we just have to be very smart. And I'm sorry to go on a bit of a soapbox, as we say in English, but I think what happens is we can get overcomplicated. It's very obvious. I've got a lot of flat roofs where I can put 120 kgs per square meter known, 32%. Let's get them greened. And the ones that are in full sunlight, put Biosolar up. But where you've got roofs which are 90 kgs, maybe you just put solar panels on them. Maybe you just put solar panels on them, because, they can't take the weight. I just think we have to be a bit canny. We haven't got time to waste money.
Yes, you're absolutely true. So also some projects will be lost or a bit interpreted on a different way according to actually the use case they offer. So I think that's already a very good starting point for our conclusion for today, because time flies fast. I thank you for all the stimulating discussions. Of course, dear participants, if we receive more bites to chew and questions we can answer from your side, we're going to do that also afterwards, also in bilateral discussions or emails in case you're interested. So I would ask Dusty for his conclusion today, and then I'm still going to ask all of you for one last sentence. And I still have some upcoming events I would like to tell you about, and the topic of our next webinar. Dusty.
Well, in our discussions prior to this, and also I've obviously been out to Zurich and met Andreas, and I think what's really important in my experience, and we all agree, that there's still a lot of innovation that needs to happen. We don't talk very much about solar thermal and the potential there in terms of making really good green roofs. I think we also tend to get like, I want one system that fits all. And I think what's exciting about when I go to Switzerland is you get roofs where you might have 3 different panels. And I think what we've got to do is, the key thing is design for that specific building and create a process that is best for that building. But generally we're trained, find one solution, easily done, put it up. So the exciting thing that knowing Vera and Andre is what we want to see, and the Federation want to see, is innovative approaches to solving multiple problems: solar, biodiversity and water. And that needs bringing organizations together, the solar thermal, the photovoltaic, and then the contractors. People forget the contractors. And Andre's background is landscape gardener. He's often the people who are installing things know a lot more sometimes and know how best to do something. And it's a very exciting time, but we haven't got a lot of time, but we can achieve plenty. And that's how I would conclude this from my side. And I think Andre would agree, because he's always saying context, use the systems that are best for each building wherever you are in the world. And I think that's what Vera's work's been about. So I don't think that my conclusion would be contrary to either of my colleagues who've spoken with me today. So I hand back to you, Vera. Yeah.
Thank you, Dusty. Yes, I think we can already keep that as the last sentence and advice for all our participants. Andreas, your last famous words. What good, excellent project, what advice can you give to our participants?
Now it's time to do, not to talk and to philosoph about. Let's go to realize projects. Dusty and we will help you. Please show us the ideas which you have, and then let's find a solution as local as possible, of course, but sometimes, yes, we can give some advice, and let's realize and show to the people it's not something fancy from Switzerland. No, it is working, and it is working under your conditions. And the best is really doing, not talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. This was motivating words also for me. I keep consulting. Yeah, I would say advice to all of you, a bit of the example I brought today. So just concluding what also the other two said, the joint work and collaboration is important. It's not about a special designer making a certain point on a certain building. It's about levels of governance. It's about cities. It's about the industry of joint collaboration. It's about us experts, civil engineers, architects, everybody, ecologists, who can have their good contribution and share on the project to create really bankable, good for nature, biodiverse, biosolar roofs for, of course, everything that climate change and linked threat have to offer to our civil society nowadays. So I think Tatiana has supplied me with a few slides about our next upcoming events that I'm going to inform you about. So make sure not to miss it. Actually, already starting tomorrow, on 18th, 19th of April, I have heard some of our participants have arrived to the site already. City of Warsaw, greening modern cities, current status, problems, opportunities for the implementation with a special focus on green roofs and living well. Of course, also Poland is a member of the EFB, and I'm very happy that they're having their great annual event just tomorrow. Second event memory I would like to present to you is the Nature of Cities Festival, which has already also started. It's different from what we normally see. The virtual phase of the event has already started on the 15th of April, but you can jump in basically any time. The physical part of the event will take place in Berlin, 3rd to 7th of June. This is about the nature of cities. It's about bringing scientists together with artists, together with technicians and people to discuss on how greening in reality really works. There are over 400 very, very colorful sessions online in the next 2 days. So I can just encourage you. It's also very cost effective to take part here. Last but not least, the German Association is going to have their Fachkongress Biodiversität Gebäudegrün on the 24th to 25th of April. You are as well, of course, invited to join. Maybe also Tatiana is going to post some links in the chat while I keep presenting.
Yes,
and last but not least, the Nature-Based Solutions Summit Urban Edition in Porto. Actually, the EFB will also run our annual general meeting prior to the event. It's on the 23rd and 24th of May in the beautiful city of Porto. There will be a lot of people, over 500 participants on site, a lot of interesting talks. Really looking forward to those days. Yeah, and before I think we conclude, even in time today, I would like also to announce our next webinar. It's going to take place on the 19th of June, again, 4 p.m. CET, and it will be about city strategies, also different levels of national strategies down to private incentive level to support green on buildings. So make sure you follow us on all our social media channels not to miss it. Sign up for it, just like now, of course, the participation will be for free. Thanks to our great sponsors that we are having for each event. Just to mention them today once more. Sechs fürs Grün, thanks to Germany. Lantra, thanks to the UK, and also not forget EcoStratos, Living Smart and Green. If there is nothing more to say, Tatjana may correct me.
Yeah, I think, yeah, thank you very much for participation. Thank you to other speakers for your great effort. Vera, you for your moderation and presentation and everything. Thank you very much. And we hope to see you at our next events.
Absolutely. So have a nice evening and keep greening buildings. See you next time. And if you have questions or we can help you anyhow, make sure to get in contact with the EFB office. We're always keen on offering, of course, advice and help if we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye.